All right, thank you so much, Linda, for that music. Good morning, everyone. We have a chance to unmute and just say good morning as we begin. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Fantastic.
Good morning.
Aha, great. It's good to hear from each and every one of you. At least now I'm sure that I'm not alone, especially because I can see quite a number of you. So if you're able to turn off your camera, maybe please do so as we begin. It will be nice to interact with you as we face each other. But in the meantime, we will start. And first is to really welcome all of you to the Lapid Leaders Africa Time Management webinar. And we have dubbed it as Kazi ni Mengi, Kiprotich, Masaa ni Machache. Karibuni sana. My name is Jakes Kanyera. I serve at Lapid Leaders Africa as a finance and associate, and I will be your host for today. And as we begin, I can see we have gone live, so you can take this opportunity to also invite your friends who are not able to join in with Zoom to go live and also follow the conversation. It will be a very interesting one. That one I can tell you for sure. And maybe before we kick it off, we'll have a chance to pray. And at this point, I will invite Kiprotich Evans to pray for us as we begin. Evans, please pray for us as we start.
Yeah, good morning from my end, and thank you, Jakes. And let's pray. Father in heaven, we come before you this morning. We thank you and we praise you. We glorify your name and we thank you for your presence. We pray that you guide us as we begin this session. We thank you and we praise your name for the people who have joined and for the people who are planning to join. We thank you again we pray for good connectivity, so that whatever the team has planned flows through and each and everyone gets to understand and each and everyone gets to grasp something for the day. I pray for even for all of the people who have planned this session. I pray and I wish them everything good as we all get to join each other, and we get to go through the session, and we get to learn from each other. I pray this, believing and trusting in the name of the Most High. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Evans, for the prayer. I can see we have been joined by quite a big populace of people from diverse places. And it's a kind request that we take this chance to also rename our devices. So you can use your both names so that at least able to interact with you, not butcher one of your names while we cannot see the other. So please take a moment to rename your devices as we proceed. In the meantime, we'll take a second to get to hear how our weekend was. It's on Monday, and we'd want to hear how your weekend was. So maybe you can put on the chat box an emoji or a word that best describes how your weekend has been. It can also be a movie that you watched over the weekend. It can be a character that you saw maybe in one of the soap operas or something that you just did in the weekend as a representation of how it went. Wow, I can see some bright faces from Carafa Dennis. Wow, fantastic. Kings, all smiles, fantastic. Thank you so much. Great. It's good to see your response, Sarah. Hey, Hope, chilled, fantastic. Good to see you. It must have been nice. Yes, so, hey, Kiprotich. What does that mean? Were you on a road test? Maybe you can share with us. Was it a field? Go ahead.
No, much of my weekend I was on I was traveling back to Nairobi. So yes, on Saturday and on Sunday. That is much I can say about the movie.
All right, thank you so much. Evans, Banis, I can see you dancing. Maybe you can as well share with us what your emoji represents and how your weekend was closed. Feel free to unmute and share with us. Banis? Okay, it was super great. Thank you so much for the feedback. Justin, I can see you saying that it was splendid. Frederick, I can see some headphones, must have been nice. Netflixy the whole day, the whole weekend. Okay, great. Abel, thank you so much. I see your response. Watched the movie Top Gun Maverick and it was relaxing. I heard of that movie over the weekend, haven't watched it. I can take it as a recommendation. Thank you so much, Collins. Thank you, Kendi. I can see your response as well. Wow, great. I haven't seen any tears, so that means that the weekend was good for all of us, and I appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much for that engagement. If you haven't put, okay, Karafa, I can see your hand raised. Go ahead, share with us.
Thank you, Jakes. My weekend was fantastic, very restful, and I'm glad to be here. I wanted to point out something. There are a lot of people whose devices are named Dennis Carafa, and that is an error on my end because of how I set up the meeting. So I'll just request anyone who is not the real me. I am the real me. I am Dennis Carafa. Just rename your devices so that we can refer to you with your actual name. Thank you.
That's quite interesting. I have seen Dennis Carafa several on the list of the participants, and one of them actually should be Rose Gikuru. So if you named your device is named Dennis Carafa and you're here quite a number, your Rose or you're someone else, please rename. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Carafa, for that. Hope Gikuru Carafa. Fantastic. Okay, so at this point, before Carafa unmutes, I would like to invite him. He'll take us through a session of a poll as a way to break the ice, and then we'll proceed. So you're much welcome, Carafa.
Thank you so much, Jakes. So it's a few questions. I would like for everyone to participate. The questions will be put up on your screen. You will receive a notification. Jakes, I hope you're looking into that. Just take some time and answer a few multiple choice questions. I'd like to know our audience better. So yeah, as soon as you see a pop-up in your screen, let's start giving our responses and see how it goes, and take it up from there. You can see it on my end. If you're struggling to get a pop-up, just flag, raise your hand, and we can see how we can help. Okay. You can just take an extra minute for those who have not had an opportunity to fill out the poll. Thank you, Jakes, for that. Yet another reminder: kindly rename your device to your actual name, so that we can refer to you in the right remarks. I hope we've all had a chance to fill out the poll. Jakes, if you're in a position to show us the results, please do so. Display them on our screens. They can see who are the other people who have responded to "I am the kind of Zoomer who's always off on my videos." Jakes, you're still here with us? Kiprotich, wave your hand if you can hear me. Okay, so it's not on my end. Probably as Jakes fixes that up, I can see that there are a lot of us who I expect a lot of responses to the question. I am kind of Zoomer who doesn't have their videos on. So that looks like only 1, 2, 3, 3 out of 55. 3 out of 55. So we're looking at 52 responses for that. To the always silent one. There's one who just woke up. Probably once we unmute ourselves, we can have a good listen to the raspy voices for those people who are living too soft a life to be in bed this time of the week. If you're one of those very lucky participants, just kindly raise your hand. We can come to you for tips as to how do you get to your level. And that's notwithstanding anyone who's just come from a night shift. That's a whole case altogether. Then I'm looking at the people who have responded to I am 100% focused in a Zoom meeting. That I can say, other than the guys who have their videos on, Kings is the other person I can vouch for along those particular lines. Jakes is probably not one of them, unless he's experiencing some technical issues, which I hope he's trying to resolve at the moment. I would assume that most of us fall under the category of my mind tends to wander, and I would urge you to set an intention. To set an intention so that we get focused and make the most of this particular discussion that we're going to have. Thank you so much. I will encourage you to have your videos on where possible so that it can be an interactive session, and hopefully we can make some new connections from this discussion. Thank you. Over to you, Jakes.
All right, thank you so much, Karafa, for that. We appreciate it. And now we'll proceed. It's to receive expectations. We would want to know why you're here, of course, and some of us have maybe put it in that poll, but maybe you can share with us what you're looking forward to through this session. And this chance is open to anyone to just unmute. We'll receive about 4 responses before we proceed. So anyone, feel free to unmute and share with us what your expectations are in the course of this session.
Hello everyone, my name is Bridgid Atunga. You see, time management, I have heard so many people talk about it and I have a feeling I'm struggling. So I want to hear what I've already heard and then pick what sounds different for me so that I improve on what I already know.
Okay, thank you so much, Bridgid. Pick up on something new. All right, we can hear from someone else. And if you're not able maybe to speak up, you can also put it on the chat box. We'll read it from there. Anyone else?
Hey, good morning, Jakes.
Good morning, Evans.
Right, yes. My name is Evans Kiprotich. I am on this phone call to really have some good time and maybe some theories from myself on time management to be challenged. So I'm here to listen to each and every perspective and at the end of the day, weigh in on way to go or not to manage my time. I guess from my end, the supply of time is something. It's a miracle. We have 24 hours on daily basis. You can't really do something about it for tomorrow. So it's about just managing the present time. So I'm down here to to have some good time, listen in, and pick up a couple of lessons from the participants.
Okay, thank you so much, Kiprotich. Yes, let's keep posting them on the chat box as well. We can hear from one more person. And the whole room went silent. Okay, so maybe I can pass by the chat box and I can see, unfortunately, all the tags in the chat box seems to be coming from Dennis Carafa. But I can see someone saying that he's looking forward to get or to learn a practical testimony on how people are using the time management techniques in their workways. I can see feedback from Hope Miriti saying that she's looking forward to get practical ways to better manage her time. Okay, all right. I would have wanted to hear from one more person so that at least we get a diverse range of expectations. But in the meantime, because I'll just proceed to the next part, and I want to say that, yes, your expectations will be met. They will be met, and maybe hang on there, you'll have them met. But in the meantime, as we proceed, for quite a number of us whose devices are reading Dennis Carafa, please take a moment to look at your device and rename to your actual name. You have the right to do so at this point. So I want to share why we have this webinar from this end. And at the end of it all, we will have talked about the importance of time management and the effects that it has in our lives. And this can be for those who are working at work, for those in school, it can be in school. Some of us maybe are not currently engaged in any work, or we are unemployed, as you put it. And so we have a lot of time on our hands, and we will be looking at how can we use the time that we have on our hands and make the most of it. And the session will give us different tools that we can use and ways how we can improve our time management. And someone say that it's actually not about just time management, it's about life management. So in essence, we will help you or make you understand the importance of continuously refining the skill of time management in your life. And this will help you to create a work-life balance if you're working. It will help you make better use of time in school. It will help you maybe manage to work on the diverse things that you have in life. I understand that we have quite a number of competing roles and responsibilities. So the session will help you work on how to balance between all the things that you're working on. And it will also give you a practical strategy on how to make the most of your day, and eventually how to make the most of your life. Because as we said, it's not just about time management, but about life management. So please hang on there as we proceed. You'll have all your expectations met. In the meantime, I want to take a moment to just do a brief introduction of who Lapid is, so that even as we proceed, we are able to know who is hosting us today. And before that, I can see in the list of the participants, you have quite a number of people from the Lapid community. I can see members of the Lapid tribe, people who have gone through Lapid and they're here with us. I can see some of us are still continuing students at Lapid. I can see some of us are new and guests to Lapid, and we really appreciate you for being here. So yes, thank you so much. I can still see we are still putting up our expectations on the chat box, and maybe just to pass by there before we proceed, I can see Dennis Carafa again. I'm not sure who this Dennis Carafa is. But someone said that I love learning new things from other people, and I know I will from this. So whoever that is, please rename your device. It's reading Dennis Carafa. Please rename to your name. I can also see feedback from Stanley Toita saying that I'm looking for a time management approach towards the entire job search process. Also, if anyone has an entry-level position, I would appreciate the link through WhatsApp. Okay, so yes, anyone who has a position, you can as well share it on the chat box for the sake of the likes of Kina Stanley. Then Grace Joan say, okay, all right. Okay, thank you for that, Grace Joan. So going forward to the next part is to introduce Lapid, and I'll talk about who we are at Lapid, what we do, and just a little brief introduction of our flagship programs and what we offer. And Lapid Leaders Africa, we are an organization that believes in empowering young African youths with leadership, skills, and competencies with a big aim of changing the African continent. And at Lapid, we have a flagship program that has 3 pillars, and these are the lead self pillar, and this helps the young people be more self-aware and to discover themselves. So if you're in your journey of self-discovery, this is a chance to help you discover yourself the more. And then after that, we have the lead marketplace pillar, and it helps young people to equip them with the skills that they need to prepare for the workplace. So those are some of the other skills that we teach and train on. And then we have that pillar of the program, which is the Lead Africa, and it helps young people to see the possibility of building themselves to change the African continent. So we believe we are not just created to just be in Kenya and that's it, but we have a whole Africa entrusted to us and the whole world entrusted to us to make a difference. So actually at the moment we have we are in a season of recruitment, but we'll talk about that at the very end as we close. But I would want to give this chance to maybe some of the people that have walked through the Lapid journey to share just a little bit of their experience, and then we will proceed to the next part as we also allow our guest speakers to join in. And at this chance, I believe we have John Nyawa in the house. John Nyawa, are you with us?
Yes, Mr. Jax, I'm with you. So maybe to just little bit share my experience in Lapid. I came to Lapid at a point where I had vied for a position in the leadership, and then I happened to fail or gain more experience, as experts would say. And then I looked at it from a perspective of me being a failure till I came to meet a guy by the name Neston, who was in Lapid. So through Lapid, that's where I really came to identify myself, know whom I am in the meantime, what really consists of me, John Nyawa, now from how I knew myself. Going through classes of emotional intelligence, entrepreneurship, agricultural economics. So I will check at it and actually reflect on my life and what I've been desiring. I think I would advise almost everybody to come and join Lapid Leaders Africa. It's through Lapid Leaders Africa, that's where I literally came to know I was a curious guy, and that's how I landed to National Treasury and Planning. I was listening to a class. I attended a class by Madam Hope Moniki, and she asked me a question on what is hindering me from achieving what I have in mind after answering a question. And then I was like, I don't feel I'm good at that. And then she said, no, just try it, give it a trial. So I worked to National Treasury and Planning this year in April. And then I was like, where am I going to start? But then I kept encouraging myself. When Derek requested to meet the HR, I met the HR in their office, pitched my idea as I had been taught by Lapid, and that's how I got my first internship. Lapid taught me on anger management. I was a person who could not manage my anger, and most of the time I would get angry. Sometimes I would tremble, my classmate would keep asking me, kijana, shida ni nini? Because I'm a person who doesn't speak my anger out. Literally, I hold it in. So ningeshinda nimetremble kwa class, and everybody would be like, this guy, what's up with this guy? But then through Lapid, that's where I came to learn of how to manage my anger and get the best version of myself. On time management, Lapid helped me and understand the fact that I can multitask, because while we were in campus, we used to walk, play games, do some hiking. So I came to realize that I was wasting a lot of time after going through the leadership experience of the self leadership pillar. That's pillar 1. I came to know that I could multitask, and that's how I started doing different courses. So through that, I came to do a quantitative and qualitative data analysis course that was offered by RedFourth. Completed that, and then I felt like I was having more time after learning how to manage my time and plan for the time through a class on time management by CSO Esther Moniki. I opted to do a course on certified investment and financial analysis that was through CASNEB. And before I even completed it, I was on my social media trying to look at the messages that Nick D, who was, I think, the former communication personnel at Lapid, was sharing opportunities for scholarships from MasterCard on ALX. And then I gave it a chance, applied for FMVA, that is financial modeling and valuation analysis. So when I applied for the scholarship, I felt ikitu ni ngumu, this thing wouldn't work for me, it's time demanding. So I called Nick D, nikamwambia, I have tried this thing, but then it's taking much of my time. I'm not having much time to play and joke around. And then it was like, no, you don't need much time to play. Once you desire playing at this time, and then you'll be a joker throughout your life. So I asked him, why do you think I'm not achieving it, Basi? And you said I'm one of the best people around. Then he was telling me that your heart and brain are not at par. So I kept thinking of the question. We had a WhatsApp group for the people doing FMVA. I left the WhatsApp group after some time, felt I wasn't going to do the course. Then after a week, I felt naeza rudi kwa hiyo group. So I went again, looked for the link and joined the group, and then started the course again. I've actually finished the course. I did the final exams a few weeks ago. So we're waiting for another program that is coming in through Corporate Financial Institute. So one thing I would really wish to tell the beginners or people joining Lapid or anybody listening to me this morning is that Lapid is the best place to be. You will learn much on how to achieve on time management, because the CSO used to tell us every time with Calvin said that you people are joking because you're wasting a lot of time on social media than doing what best suits you. So like, when CSO, what's up with the CSO? So we kept complaining and postponing issues till we came and learned some more classes on planning, time management. So after that, we and our squad, which used to be considered as the worst squad, I don't know how this came up. Squad Trojan used to be one of the squads that people wouldn't love, because we used to never be time conscious. We'll prepare the assignments the day people were supposed to present. So with time, we came to learn and multitask. So that's the best experience I actually have had, Jex, in Lapid. And I would really appreciate the opportunity given to me to share this. Thank you so much, Jex.
You're much welcome. We are glad to hear that you've walked a journey of transformation, and especially in terms of your time management skills. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for the feedback, John. And we look forward to seeing you become a more skilled time manager and life manager at large. Okay, so at this point, we will also hear from someone who has gone through the Lapid journey and they have completed. And I will invite Steve Getahi to share his experience in a minute. You're much welcome, Steve. Okay, seems like.
Yes, sorry, Jakes. I just wanted to flag that Steve has unfortunately dropped off. If you allow me, I would like to speak in the capacity of a tribesman, a member of the Lapid alumni community. I was in cohort 7. I was in the same class as Steve. He's a fantastic guy. Unfortunately, I can only do the story half the justice he would have done it. But I can relate to some of the things that John has mentioned, being stretched, being given some practical skills that I can say I'm putting to good use to the most of my ability. But most importantly, one of the greatest things I got from the Lapid experience is a community of people who are keen on on growing as individuals and as a nation. And I say as a nation because we are we span across the entire region of Kenya. We have people, I know some people who are within the East African region, and it's amazing to be in a space where you have people from diverse backgrounds, different interests, very good blend of various personalities that are in their own ways forging ahead towards making this life a better experience for all of us. So yes, like John, I will add John and anyone else who's going through the experience or is yet to join. If you're looking for such a community, if you're looking to belong, if you're looking for some clarity here and there, and for people just to do life, I will seriously recommend the Lapid community. And you join the Lapid community by going through the program so that we can now be on the same wavelength. And like Jakes has said, he'll share with us how we can do that moving forward. And it's true. Mambo ni mengi na masaa ni machache. So I wouldn't want to hog this particular opportunity. So over to you, Jakes.
All right, thank you so much, Karafa. Before we proceed to the next part, you have actually aroused a question in me about Masaa ni Machache na Mambo ni Mengi. And I am actually asking myself, maybe if we have anyone in this room who's that slogan, he slaps so hard until you're like, the many things that I have and the time that I have as the Ambatani. So maybe at this chance, before we proceed, we can hear from someone who that slogan slaps hard. Najua kuna some of us wenye maybe masaa ni mengi, mambo ni machache, na wengine wa mambo ni mengi, masaa ni machache. So is there anyone who the mambo ni mengi, masaa ni machache slogan slaps so hard? You have a chance to share your experience. A very open platform. Lakini msiponena nitaita mnene because I can see quite a number of you. Anyone?
Pardon, sijakusikia vizuri.
Okay, so Abel, we are saying that tukona two distinctions of people. There is that lot that says masaa ni mengi, mambo ni machache, and there is that team that says mambo ni mengi, masaa ndio machache. So maybe Abel, we can start with you and share with us which side do you lean on? Do you lean on the side of masaa ni mengi, mambo ni machache, ama the side of mambo ni mengi, masaa ndio machache?
Personally, personally, I lean on the mambo ni mengi, masaa ni machache, because we have a lot that we are supposed to cover, but the time is limited, and one can see that anaweza kosa kufanya kitu, anaweza assume akona time, but there's no time. So I go by mambo ni mengi, masaa ni machache.
Okay, thank you so much, Abel. Do you have anyone in this room who is on that other end of masaa ni mengi, mambo ya kufanya ndio machache? We also want to hear such an experience. Okay, I can see Grace John saying that sleep is sweet, bed is cozier, but when there is a lot to do. Wow. Oh yeah. Yes, Richard.
I think masaa ni mengi will happen too when you are locked up in a cell. If you've ever been arrested, you can have that experience. Uko masaa uko mingi bali. Mambo ndio hakuna. But if you're outside, you're free. I don't think if masaa inaweza kuwa mengi kwako. Yeah, unless you're a kid. Mtoto tu ndio I think bado anakuanga na masaa mingi sana. They only think of playing and maybe crying and doing some easy things, but a normal person, masaa haiwezi kuwa mingi bana.
Okay, thank you so much, Richard. Richard amesema apart from the person mwenye amefungiwa in a prison, ama mwenye alishikwa Friday jioni sasa ndo anatoka asubuhi, it's been a long weekend for them. But for anyone who is out here, time ndio hakuna. And I can see Bridgid saying that it's hitting me hard, a million things to do, and time is a little. Sleep is also a lot. Wow. Okay, all right. Stanley is on the side ya mambo ni mengi, masaa ni machache. I'm having started programming, and while struggling to master one task, I discover yet another language that complements what I'm struggling with. Richie, kuna mambo, masaa ni mengi, mambo machache is for toddlers. Wow. Okay, thank you so much. So we proceed to the next part, and that is to invite our speaker today. But before that, I have a question for Gikuru. And as Gikuru shares her experience, she will also tell us if she had 86,400 to spend in 24 hours, what she would do with that amount. So Gikuru, you have 86,400 and you have 24 hours to spend. So as you share your experience, you can tell us how you'd spend it. Then we'll proceed to welcome our speaker today.
Life no balance. 86,400. That's like the number of seconds in a day. Nimekupata. Si kwanza you deposit in my account alafu tuongee story. I think 86,400. I will use it to invest in my future. Yeah.
Wait a minute, what part of the future? Unaweza fanya wedding, unaweza
Naweza fanya harusi. Naweza live like, okay, when I mean invest in my future, not putting it in the bank probably. I would, maybe I'm in the phase of developing myself, so I would look for areas I can develop myself. Is it like a Lapid program, a training that I would go to, like similarly to how you use your day? I would spend every minute or every coin bettering myself. Yeah. Are you answered, Jake?
Yeah, I am. Thank you for the response.
Is that all?
You want to share your experience in a minute?
Okay. I joined Lapid last, we are in 2022, 2021, around May. I was just fresh from campus and I didn't know the direction to take. So I'd say I was a confused person out of parents' care to the life itself. Yeah, so I heard about Lapid. I wasn't really sure what it was because it was a friend who recommended it to me. So you see the out of campus thing, the way you apply everything you find on your way. Like, hata ukiitwa I am global uta-apply to. Yani, yeah, I was in that point of just applying. If a link comes to my plate, I just apply. Lucky enough, I was picked. During I was trying to figure out how it was. I found a safe space for me because I like being around people who develop. So I found a place where I could learn about myself, things that I found insecure about myself, things that I felt are not good to say out aloud. So I think Lapid was a safe space for me, and that made me grow to the person I am today. I am able to chase my dreams this day because I have that confidence that there was a slogan like fired up and ready to go. Yeah, so that's what I live by to date. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Great stories to hear. Thank you so much, Gikuru, for that sharing. I can see another Dennis Karafa saying that he would clear his bills for the month of September. Hiyo ingine tutafikiria over lunch, and lunch is almost. So please plug me in that kufikiria tuone venye tutamaliza hiyo pesa. Okay, so in the meantime, we will proceed to the next phase. And at this point, I will invite Linda, who will bring to us the speaker of the day. Karibu sana, Linda.
Thank you so much, Jake. Thank you everyone for joining this amazing webinar where we are handling topics that are actually so close to us. And our first speaker is Brian Aseli, who is actually a KTN News journalist and a theater director at RedFourth Chorus. I also know him from Vibes Radio. If you have seen him around anywhere hosting any type of events, he's a familiar face to us, and he will be sharing his personal career experience, and this is going to be his floor. So Aseli, karibu, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity. I don't know if you can hear me. I am so honored to be with such great leaders from Africa, and most of them are actually from Kenya. So a shout out to you. I can't see myself. If you can see me, if you can see me, just say it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
And you can see me. Okay, I can't see myself on my screen right now. So I'll just go with it. Yeah, thank you. So thank you for spotlighting. Brian Aseli, she's already said everything. I like to call myself the most bankable host in Africa. Most bankable is because of the aspect of time and money, and I'm going to be talking about it any moment now. I have been friends with, yeah, yeah. She didn't mention that. Linda didn't mention that we are friends. Apart from that, we are really good friends, and we often plan time to eat, plan time to talk. So to me, I'm actually seeing time management as a myth. To me, it's not. Time management is just a myth. It's not something I go by. What I do is priority management, not time management. So if something is not important to me, I don't allocate time to it. But I like to just jump straight into the career that I'm in. I'm in radio and television. And that is the place where time is literally money, because there's something called airtime. Now, airtime is the number of seconds and minutes on air. Someone has paid for it. I'm going to be talking about that maybe in just a moment, but there's some things I'd like to get off the road. Masaa ni mengi, mambo ni mengi. Masaa ni mengi, mambo ni mengi is when you're young, okay? Masaa ni mengi, mambo ni mengi is when you're pretty young. You see, when you're in that age bracket of 23 and below, kuna vitu mob za kufanya, kuna sherehe, kuna sijui birthday, sijui kuna nini, and there's a lot of things that you'd be allocated. They are not important, but you have a lot of things to do, you know? And sometimes it's your first job, it's your relationship that you feel like you have to invest a lot of time. And that's when masaa ni mengi, mambo ni mengi. And then there's mambo ni mengi, masaa ni machache. Now that's where you get into that age bracket of, there are some people who get into this bracket way earlier, like 19, 18, or even 16. But in Kenya, ordinarily, when you turn 24, 25 is when now you have a lot of things to do, but you don't have a lot of time. Now, newsflash, you can't manage time. You can prioritize your activities. That's something I learned actually when I was preparing for this. So you can't manage time. You can only prioritize your activities. Give you an example. If, like I've just told you that if something is not important to me, then I don't allocate time. That's why when you ask me, utakuwa free lini? What I usually do is I tell you I'm never free. I can only create time, or I can allocate time. Because once you show people that to you, time is just, but it's not valuable. To you, time is not valuable. You're always available. Hey, sherehe ni aje, tokea tu sahi. There's the aspect of spontaneity when you have friends and when you're trying to be cool. When you're younger, it's like that. But when you grow older, you'll get to realize that some people, you call them and they don't pick up your call, not because they didn't see it, but because they don't feel like there's something important that you're going to tell them. So in as much as you'd like to prioritize your time and you'd like to manage time, then you need to ask yourself, what does it matter? Okay. When you ask yourself that simple question, what does it matter? Then you'll get to know what's important to you, what's your priority and what's not. So we have equal amount of time. We have 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have 12 months. Kila mtu ako na hiyo, but it's in what you prioritize it in. And that's why you see most of the guys with a billionaire mindset usually have a routine, and it's almost the same. I was trying to compare the late, what's the name of it? Steve Jobs' time routine, and I compared it to Oprah's time routine, and I compared it to Elon Musk's time routine. I even came closer home and compared it to some of the multimillionaires in Kenya, how Kirubi would run his time, and they had a form of routine. Now, a routine is only important if you have important things to do. And yeah, a routine is only important if you have important things to do. If you don't have important things to do, you might end up just wasting the time. And wasting the time is just by you lazing around. And lazing around is not a problem. Rest is very important when you're trying to manage time. So I'll just jump straight into how I do it. Now, ordinarily, I am not required to be at work every single day. That's the best part of negotiating a contract. When you're negotiating a contract, you're negotiating time, okay? I remember when I joined the media scene in 2017, straight from campus, I got a chance, I was given a contract and I was told, go read the contract, tell us what you think about it. Now, I was required to produce a weekly show. And producing a weekly show does not require you to be in studio on the actual day of presentation. It requires you to start working on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday is when you do your presentation. So people assume that when you have a TV show on Friday, you only work on Fridays. No, working in the media space or working anywhere should be a lifestyle, in that it's so in you, in that when you see content or you see an opportunity or you see space, then you're excited for it because it's a lifestyle. Okay, so that's what I'm required to do every week is I do 3 shows now. One show is on Friday in the morning at around 8. Now I don't prepare at 8 in the morning. I prepare throughout the week. On Monday, I get content. Tuesday, I get content. Wednesday, I reach out to interviewees. Thursday, I do my social media and try to make sure that it's okay. Then Friday is the actual day of presentation. Now, when I get to the studio, there's something called time allocation. Now, you're allocated specific number of minutes on air. And that those minutes are actually paid for. So you can't expect you come in at 8:10 and then your boss is gonna laugh at, yeah, we tell you to 10 minutes. No, in media, every minute is paid for. You waste 1 minute, you wasted that minute paid for by Coca-Cola. You waste 10 minutes, you've wasted those minutes paid by Safaricom. And it's actually costly because it ruins relationships. Now let's go to the relationships that you need to understand. Tuseme unafaa kwenda date. You're supposed to be on a date with someone, sindio? And then you say, yeah, we're meeting at 5. 5 si time ya kuoga wa Kenya. 5 is actually supposed to be the time where you say, hi, how are you? Kwaje? Oh, nice, you look amazing. Exactly at 5. Now, why we call this African timing is because of the infrastructure and the things that surround us. Because you can't predict traffic at times. You can't predict delays in M-Pesa. There's a lot of things that you're not in control of. So when you're trying to go on that date with this beautiful lady, unafaa ujiulize maswali kama muda ni mingi, masaa ni machache, ama nini? What are the activities you're supposed to do, and when should it start? This goes to the girls, and even the girls. If you're going on a date, be in control of the time. Make sure that the time that you're spending is not just spamming. Manage it and prioritize the activities that you're going to do in that date. And that's in everything that we do. So on television, I'm required to interview people. Let me break down my show. I interview people, and then we do a segment called Hot Topics. Now, Hot Topics is literally 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 topics, 3 guests. So if you're not a good time manager in your question and answer and in how you present the story to the audience, then you'll waste a lot of time. And that's one of the things that I usually do when I'm on air. So I'm going to speak really quick through the notes, and then you're going to ask me questions. So when someone tells you it's not, I don't have time, it means that you are not important. That's how I usually feel. If someone says I can create time, it means that it could be important, but depending on what you want to tell me. And then when you look at me and tell me, yeah, I'm definitely going to meet you, that means that they respect your time and they really want to utilize their time because they know they're going to gain something from you. So how do you pre-plan? Pre-plan is the night before something happens. And pre-plan could also be the number of months before something happens, or weeks, depending on the project. So how I advise you to always have projects, monthly projects that are important to you. That will help you build the discipline. It will help you build the opportunity to grow. It will also help you build stronger partnerships and relationships. Now, partnerships and relationships are very important, especially in the corporate world. You might be like, right now, I'm friends with Linda. And Linda is just an amazing person. When we say we are meeting at 8, she's there 10 minutes before time. And she knows I'm a very strict person. And when we are there, we go into the nitty-gritties. Why are we here? We discuss. And then from there now, vibes and inshallah. That's how you should be working. So for every meeting, ata kama ni vibes and inshallah, make sure that there's one important thing that you would like to experience, okay? And that's pre-plan. Tukifika huko, what are we doing? What are we doing? So you pre-plan the night before. That's what I do. Before my shows, I pre-plan. I know what I'm going to wear days before. I know what I'm going to say the night before. And on air, it's just execution. Now, actualization. Now, actual morning or actual day is when actual morning or actual day is when now you execute. Now, why we fail in execution is because we have pathetic pre-plans, okay? I'm going to use pathetic, but that's a word that you can substitute. We have bad pre-plans. We have improper. We have inadequate pre-plans. In that it's so hard for us to just make sure that we have our notes together. And sometimes it's tunaenda na vibes. Kwa life, saa zingine tunaenda na vibe. Lakini inafanga time flani, hata before your vibe be knock in, just know exactly what you're going to do. And that, so pre-plan and the actual morning are 2 different things. If you didn't plan well, the actual morning is going to be crazy for you, okay? So just to finish up, what I do with my time is I block time. When I wake up in the morning, I don't do social media for about 1 hour and a half. I am a social media addict. So I'm always online, but I'm not posting. I'm always online because I'm reading. I'm trying to find out what people are doing. I'm following up with my mentors and stuff. And you'd find that in a day, I've been on social media for about 6 hours. Now, if you look at 6 hours in a day, 6 to 8 hours is our working hours, okay? So you'd find that if you 6 out of 8 hours you've been on social media, then it means that in a single day, you've only worked for 2 hours. And that's crazy if you're not a social media manager. If you're a social media manager, I can actually just say you have like 8 hours to, you have 8 hours to be on social media because that's your work. But if you're like me, where I'm not required to be on social media all the time, I'm required to interview people, do questions, do voiceovers, do meetups, do some studio work, editing and stuff like that, then I require most of my time doing all of this other work other than just presenting. So I block time. What I've done most recently is the first 1.5 hours, I'm not on social media. I try my best to wake up before 8 because you need to know your power times. When I say power times, it's the second point now. Know your best time. My power times are night. I perform well at night. I work well at night. Like if you give me an assignment, I'm most likely going to do it at night. And that's exciting for me. That's when the creative juices knock in. And then I sleep at around 3 or 4. But nowadays, I've now started changing my clock. And how do you do that? Eat early, eat before 7, sleep before 10, depending on kind of when into a series. Come on into a series, make sure that you catch an episode, just one episode in a night. And then that'll change your whole lifestyle and who you're becoming as a person. Because you can't be the person who anagonga season mzima one night, and then you expect that asubuhi utakama perform ile to the utmost best. Like asubuhi at 8, you're functioning well. When you are younger, then that's dope. But when you grow a little bit older and get into your 30s and into your 40s, then you'll realize that sleep is very important. Like hata ukipatiwa 15 minutes, you feel like, let me just sleep and re-energize. So you need to ask yourself, when are you the sharpest tool in the shade? Sharpest tool in the shade, I'm talking about the toolbox, that work, the workspace that you are in. When are you an asset to your company? Because when you stop being an asset in your company, that's when vitu kama retrenchment ama redundancy come, you guys are cut off work. Or even for your own small businesses, because I know there are some young people who are really into businesses right now. When you're pre-planning and planning for your business, if you're not working at your sharpest time, ni noma. Naona kuna mtu ameandika usingizi is important, prioritize your rest. By the mimi, I'm gifted in emceeing, music, the arts in general, but I'm also gifted in sleeping. Mazejo ka unaweza doze, ipige, chapa ilale, by the way, because it's not something that we joke about. Man, if you're tired, just rest. So ask yourself, when is your right energy? When is your right vibration? When is your right time to do activities? That's what you need to ask yourself. And then when do you focus the most? That is your power time. That is when you know your best time and how fast you can work. My best time is actually at night. So you can actually go check out what's your power time. Not power, not part time. Alafu, finally, know your worth. So when I got my contract, what I asked myself is, how many hours am I working and how much money are they giving me? And then what I did is I calculated the number of hours that I am working, and I divided it by the number of hours, the money that they are allocating and the number of hours that I'm working. And then you'll get to know how much 1 hour is, okay? And sometimes you pick a job so that you can get the next one. But if you're not proactive in the current job that you're doing, or you're not good at the job that you're doing, then it becomes dangerous in that you will now become dormant and laxity kicks in. And that's why you find that people stay in their first job for 25 years. Then they retire. And we are in a society where people are saying, it's okay, bora mesi, bora uko kazi. And then you work in a space for 50 years. After that, you don't have a personality. Your personality was tied to a job. You don't know how to have fun because you're mostly working. You're a boring type person because you are only good at your work. I'm not saying that it's bad to be good at your work, but I'm just like, you also need to create time for socialization, in that you're not robotic, you're not mundane, and you're just not lousy in your workspaces. So on radio and television, what is paid for is advertisement, mentions, and what else? Interviews, they are paid for. So if you waste time, this is literally time is money. I'm open for questions. I'm sorry I talk too much. I talk a little bit fast. If you didn't get something clear, you can actually ask me a question. Ulize vile itakaa English, Swahili, Shem, you're all good. Sisi out. Are we there?
Yes, yes, we are, Aseli. Thank you so much for that. And I think I'm just getting a lot of points from you. I feel like you're personalizing this to your career, to your lifestyle. And I just thank you once again for the productive partnership and relationship we have built over the years. And I thank you for your time. Everyone, the floor is open. Aseli is here. He will take all the questions.
Yeah.
I have a question. My name is Bridgid Atunga, and my question is, when you calculate the money and the number of hours you're working, and then you realize, oh my God, these people are paying me way less for what I'm doing, does that motivate you to move to the next space, or how do you go about that? Could you turn down an opportunity once you realize that you're being given less for doing more?
Yeah. Okay, I'll answer it in different parts. One, Bridget, thank you so much for that question. One is, once you do that, then you start knowing that I am worth this amount of money, okay? Now, I'm talking to a generation whereby we are not working in offices. We're working in different spaces. There's something called Upwork, where it's something that I'm going to prioritize in 2023, where you record your voice over. Someone sends a script, you record a voiceover, and then they pay you per minute, or they pay you per work done, or per number of words done, okay? So in such a space, that's the international market. People are paid per hour. And that's the kind of focus I'd like everyone in Lapid to actually create. Because you guys are leaders. You're not leaders for Kenya alone. You're not leaders for East Africa. You're not leaders for Africa alone. You're leaders of the world. And in whatever space you're going into, you need to know your worth. Now, what I do, I get more motivated when I know, oh my goodness, these guys are paying me 13,000 per hour. So meaning if I get another job, then I'll know how much per hour I'm calculating. Knowing your worth will actually point you towards a direction of knowing that, whoa, wait a minute, this is an elevation point, or I'm being demoted on this one. So those are the things you need to evaluate. Another thing, another reason as to why I do that is because now I will not be, I'll not be tied to one job. I'll not be comfortable. I'll be hungry. I'll be foolish. Steve Jobs says, stay hungry, stay foolish. It means wejifanye mjinga in that job, endelea kuipiga. I'm not encouraging anyone to leave their workspaces. All I'm saying is that endelea kujifanya mjinga, because there's one job that's supposed to pay for your basic needs, that is food, house, shelter. There's another job that's supposed to feed your hobbies and all these other things. Because emceeing for me is a gig that feeds my hobbies. When I want to go for travel, when I want to go have fun, when I want to buy my mom stuff, and the extra stuff, because she's in my monthly budget. When I want to buy her the extra stuff, when I want to buy her, like, oh mom, you need a dera, you need a bangle, you need a necklace, you need an extra pair of shoes. Yeah, then that becomes how I work. I don't only work one job. I'm talking to a generation where we don't only work in Kenya, we work online as well. So when you're in that math, make sure that you know your worth in Kenya shillings and in US dollars. I've seen someone saying, why not US dollars? Yes, US dollars, because we are bound to be great, because I believe that Lapid readers are dreamers, and they're not only dreamers, they actualize stuff. So you guys need to be in a space where you're not limited to just that space where you are. And if you realize that they're paying you way less, then start looking. And that's how I do it. I start looking. As soon as you get into a job, ask yourself, what's your exit plan? What's my exit? So think about it like that. Thank you so much, Bridget, for that question.
I can see in the chat box, we also have a question from Hope. How do I deal with procrastination? Which goes with our topic, Mambo Mengi. Later, I'll read it another time.
Yeah, I had written down notes on procrastination, but I felt like maybe I'm the only one who suffers procrastination. Procrastination speaks into one, your priorities, and then two, your discipline, and then consistency. Now, I'm a lazy, hardworking person. I don't know if you know of that statement. I'm a lazy, hardworking person. I'm lazy because yokai kitu aniletei do, aniletei furaha, then I'm busy. Even if I'm sleeping, I'm in the house, I'm sleeping. Some will say, but you don't give your time to everyone. Then it loses value. If kila mtu anaweza kukupata, then you're losing value. You're losing value. So procrastination, how I deal with it is I prioritize. Unajiuliza, hii kitu ni important. Hii date naenda because najua uchali by there kona future. Ama hii date naenda because uchali ama udema zidi wako na connection ama kona network. Hii date naenda because umsi anakuanga tu anifanya na feel poor, so mentally itakuwa fit. It doesn't feed into your spiritual, physical, mental. And when nikisema physical pia ni how you feel. Could be touch, could be whatever. Could be like Monday, how you get your money. So if it doesn't feed into that, then you shouldn't prioritize it. If it doesn't make you feel good about yourself, you shouldn't prioritize it. And the biasness of it is why we procrastinate is because tumeingia pale sasa tunagonga kila kitu na vibes and inshallah. So you find that you're going to see a friend for about 15 minutes. We are 20 minutes in. You've not blocked your time. So you don't have activities in your day. So you become a slave of the person that invited you over. That's why unakutanga words kama kiongozi, mkubwa, unaitwanga vitu kama hizo by people who are just lazing around. Kiongozi, mkubwa, no busy person would actually call you kiongozi or mkubwa. It's very hard for people to do that. It becomes very hard for people who are busy and they have things to do. It's hard for them to give you titles, even if you have titles, maybe on a friendly basis, but it's hard for your boss to call you mkubwa. And when they're doing that to make you feel good about yourself. So I prioritize time. So najua hii ni important, and then I block my day. I know there's 2 hours of rest, 2 hours for a book, 2 hours for social media, 2 hours for Netflix, and then 1 hour to call family, 1 hour to call people for connection. And then you find that you stretch your day into 12 hours, and then the rest is rest. And then now, as soon as you figure out what your schedule or routine is, now you become consistent in it. No, you develop the discipline to do it even when you don't want to do it. Like personally, I don't work out. I do not work out. I've never worked out in my life. I am telling you, I'm one of the laziest people ever in terms of physical exercise. But I like to look good. So what did I do? I got someone to tell me, hey, if you want to lose weight, this is how you can do it through food. Now, the discipline of it is dangerous. I quit eating wheat for about a month and I lost 3 kgs. So that discipline alone, like me napenda chapo, I love chapati, I love all these wheat-based foods. I love mandazi, napenda hizo vitu zote. But now I couldn't eat them if I wanted to look good. So you tie your priority to a goal and to a stake. So give you an example. I want to lose weight. I don't want to work out. So working out is out of the question. But I want to lose weight. That's a goal. If I eat wheat, what's the stake? I will look bad. So if you don't do that, if you don't tie your coin, which is your goal, to a stake, then you won't have a motive. So if you don't have a motive, then you lack motivation to go for it. And that's why I usually say, personally, I can't work 8 to 5 because I have a life. I'm a creative. So all the creative juices come when I'm doing different activities. So, and then from there, once you've gained the discipline, then apply consistency. Now make it your lifestyle. Making something a lifestyle it means that naturally, even if you wake up in New York, if you wake up in Nairobi, if you wake up in London, if you wake up in Ugenya, if you wake up in Kisumu, if you wake up in Kakamega, anywhere, Eldoret, that routine is cast on stone. Because it's habits that will make you grow. I'm sorry, I talk too much. We good?
Yes, I think that question was well answered.
Okay, I
think
can't
I'm
hear
going-
you clearly.
There are few questions also on what about those who work in a government office 8 to 5, the same routine every day? Where does the motivation come from? Sana to keep time in the morning while reporting to work.
Okay, so when I was 18, turning 19 years old, I worked at a government office, Ministry of Agriculture. And kama kuna watu wako na time by then watu wanawaka offices za gava, because this is a secret by the way. Usiambie mtu. Usiambie mtu. So what happens with the government time is just clock in on time, beat the traffic and be there on time. As soon as you get there, work starts at around 9. That's almost everywhere we work. But you see, once you get there at 8, push that hour from 8 to 9 for work. And then by the time people come in at 9, ushafanya most of the work. Now at 9, you create a schedule that is opposite what people are doing. Only tie it to the most important thing. Say, if you have meetings, I remember when I was working at the Ministry of Agriculture, we had meetings at exactly 10. So I would get into the office at around 7, because I grew up in Kawangware, so whether you like it or not, me either beat traffic ufike job 7, ama ukose beat traffic ufike job 9. So I would just make sure that I'm at work by 7. And then because I was doing PR, and we would do something called press release. So press release would be given about 8, 9 newspapers from across the world, the country and the region. And then you'd go looking at the agriculture stories. And then what you do, you mark it and then write it down so that when your boss comes in, you give them the press release and tell them that the government of Kenya has opportunities in Botswana, we have opportunities in South Africa, we have opportunities in Australia, opportunities in Malawi, so that when they're going for their meetings, your boss looks good. Now, that was my only motivation, to make my boss look good. And that was just one of my personal goals, in that I'm going to build the partnerships and the relationships in the government offices. So that was my motivation. Sometimes motivation is not money, and sometimes motivation is not opportunities that you're going to get. Because most people watu wanafikiria ngati, so to pick a motivation has been slashed into money or benefits. No. So that's where we lose out on benefits. On motivation. Motivation could be something subliminal. Subliminal in that it's in your mind. You're gratified when your boss looks good in a meeting, because you know that they will always take you as their A-team member. Now, being an A-team member is something very important. For example, I work at RedFourth Chorus with someone called Philip Tuju, who's really gifted. I'm his A-team member when it comes to theater and stage performances because of the things we've worked and done together. I remember during ile time ya Kuliko Jana, it was the time when Upper Hill Boys now became really famous. And, you know, everyone wanted to work with Fila, and that's exactly the time when I joined him. And we would do so many gigs with Sauti Soul, we'd do gigs with just perform at different embassies and different presidential events. And I would ask myself, what's my motivation to work with Fila? My motivation was to meet people who can change my life. So I met all Kenyan presidents, all ambassadors to Kenya. We've done state functions, we've done private parties, we've done national events. And my idea is just grab one business card and you never know. Now, how did that help me? Because I was straight from campus at that time. What happened? Nowadays, when I'm making my show, I have contacts everywhere. Now I'm connected. I have a document. I have a small piece of paper. I have an email address. I have a phone number. If you need it, I can have it. Chances are, if I need someone, I'm 2 phone calls away. And that's how you should think of it. For the person who's working for the 8 to 5, ask yourself, how many connections in a day do I make? And not only in our department, the next department. Who is my connect in the next department? In that wakikuambia hii department inakufuta, you just move over to the next department. What are the details in the next department? In that you're going to rise to the level of boss if you understand a lot of things, if you understand so many things. Level of boss is now every department knows that you are their go-to person, and it's gonna make your life way, way easier, because that's how you become a junior boss. Now, when I joined KTN, I was just a TV presenter, but right now I'm a co-producer for my show. Nothing goes on my show or on air on my time if I don't say yes. I have the equal opportunity of saying, no, I don't think that guest is a good fit for this month. And that's why you start calling the shots. So your 8 to 5 motivation utaitwa mahali penye you're building the right networks. And you know what they say about networks. I don't want to repeat it. It's so cliche. I'm sorry, I answer in long format. So I hope I've answered that. So motivation can come subliminally in that you're not just getting gratification physically.
I think,
yeah.
I think you've given us a great overview of the whole career, time management, and just value creation. Something that we need as the leaders who are coming into this space. I'd like to give you a few moments to give your final word, and then we can invite Bridgid to give us a take on the recruitment process.
Okay. I didn't prepare for finishing statements, but I appreciate you for your time, because you won't recover it, but you can utilize it. I want to thank you for your chance to prioritize this segment for the 60 plus or 70 plus people who joined in. I'd like to say thank you for your time, but I hope that with time, then we'll get to realize what is our priority to us. I know I've repeated time and priority a lot of times, but it's one and the same thing. They are intertwined. Thank you so much for creating time to talk to us.
Great.
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Aseli, we will definitely take that with us. It's going to guide us in this week and in the coming weeks. Bridgid, I see you're here. Thank you so much for being here. For those who do not know Bridgid, she is a recruiter at both. She is an alumni from the Strathmore University, and she is just an overall amazing, amazing person. We invite her to give her take and share more about this.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you, Aseli, for such a nice presentation. To be quite honest, I learned so much, especially, shifting focus from, time management to priority management. To be, okay, I don't know whether every person can hear me. I'm kind of, hearing some echo. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Awesome. Today I'm here to talk about the career journey, and I'm gonna share my screen. So just a minute. Yes, I hope you can see that, right?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So for sure, when it comes to the career journey, it has never been easy, especially from the way we were taught from school that, when you finish school, you're gonna get a job, and then of course you're gonna make a lot of money, start a family, and everything else, is just honey and roses and all the good things. But for sure, there's a lot of challenges along the way. And I'm here to just give you an insight of course, my personal journey and what I usually, advise to the rest of the professionals. So maybe I can just start by introducing myself. I'm Bridgid Atunga. I'm a global talent recruiter at Bolt. And of course, I'm a Strathmore University alumni. When I started my first job, it was actually while I was still in school. I was doing an internship for a bank, and it was actually in finance. So technically, my education background is in finance. And I remember, I never imagined myself being in recruitment or HR. And just to give you an overview of what I do, when it comes to recruitment, it's not the same as HR. It's technically sourcing for the right talent and making sure that this person that you're getting are going to be happy in their new position. So we are talking about using LinkedIn to get talent, and at the same time, interviewing these people, and from there you kind of just try to see where they fit. So on a daily basis, I usually I'm always on LinkedIn, just trying to get people. There's a special tool for that where you use some Boolean search strings, or you use a bit of coding, I can say, and then it comes up with a list of people, and then of course from there you choose the ones that you want, and then you send the messages to them. So when I first started recruitment, I was still in school and I was in an agency. So we were technically hiring for around 1,000 companies at that time. So I used to handle around 50 positions in a week. That is going through more than 5,000 resumes, interviewing people, and each interview was 10 to 20 minutes, and then from there you shortlist the people and then send them to the the companies to do the second round of interviews, and then from there, of course, that the process ends. And then when I of course that was tiring, I got a better offer in another company, which was technically in-house recruiting. That's where I learned something to do with culture. And when I'm talking about culture, I'm talking about getting people who are gonna fit your organization or your company. So for that, it was a bit relaxed. It was more of strategic sourcing, and I was handling, of course, mostly West Africa, East Africa, and South Africa. Yeah, so I was there for a bit of time, and at the same time, I was also studying. I was still in school because I was trying to just hack my life, because I was technically doing finance and I never saw my future in finance. So it meant that I had to do some changes. And and then when I graduated, of course, I got a good offer at both. And I remember the first task that I was given was hiring for Poland. Yeah, I've never hired for a European country before. It was a very, very weird market for me, because I remember going through the applications and I saw only 2 people have applied, and that is, within a week. So technically people are not applying for any jobs. And my manager expected me to, get people, but no one is applying for a job. That's when, of course, I had to meet with somebody from Poland to understand how, the market is. And one of the things that I realized was, in Poland, people are very different. Most of them, they're not interested in working, or, technically, they're comfortable in life. And when people are interested in, applying for jobs, they need more money, or they are just not qualified. So it was more like just trying to understand these people who are very different from the rest. Number one, most of them don't know English. I don't know whether you knew about that, but most of them don't know English, and they expect you to talk Polish. So I remember having interviews, and then somebody is, speaking in a strange language, and I'm trying to understand them. And of course, at the end of the time, they'll just get mad and, just log out. But I remember now, that's when I started being strategic in recruiting. Of course, I learned sourcing strategies. That is, of course, using online platform to get people wherever you are. You can get somebody who's living in US, and of course, interview them and give them a job or something like that. Yeah, so that's how within like 3 months, I got my first hire, but everything seemed okay till when this person received the offer. And then it was like, no, I need more money. So that was like, something weird, because during the first interview, when you're talking to somebody, You ask them how much they want, and you tell them how much you're offering. You just agree so that you don't waste each other's time. And yeah, so of course, that led me to square one. And then something miraculous happened. Somebody reached out to me via LinkedIn, and they just told me that they're looking for a job. They are in Poland. They know English. Like, it was more like a pitch, but it was via LinkedIn. So I got a chance to meet the person. Was really good. He passed all the interviews, and yeah, that was my first hire. And from there, I got a promotion, of course, and I was given even more difficult market, Sweden. And I was, at the same time, I was also handling the whole of Africa. So it was a mess, I could say, but I learned so much within a short time. Yeah, and here we are. So that is my story. And today I'm going to talk about the career journey. So we are going to talk about, how to create a resume, how to search for a job strategically, and then of course, interview preparation, how to negotiate an offer. I think at this point, Brian mentioned something about, negotiating an offer in regards to time. So we're going to talk about that. And then from there, we're going to talk about what you need to know when you're starting a new job, how to grow in your career, and of course, how to resign and move on to better opportunities. So does any person have a question at this point before I continue? Okay. Awesome.
I have a hi. I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned that you use some sort of Boolean mechanisms just to sort of source your talents. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm at an let's say I'm at an entry level or at an associate level, and the job that you're looking for is maybe a mid-senior kind of a job. Does it mean from your Boolean search, someone at that associate level is at a disadvantage? Because or is there some sort of is there a way that Boolean mechanism sort of accommodates such kind of talent?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. So when it comes to searching people online, let's say I'm looking for a country manager for Kenya. There are some things that we're looking out for. Number one is the number of years of experience, their skill set, probably, education background, or even, type of companies that have been working before. So those are the information that I'll just put in the Boolean search, and then they'll give me those people with that limited number of years of experience. Meaning if somebody is very junior, they won't appear in that search. Of course, we are not looking for a very junior person when it comes to country manager level. So that's why we use search. And let's say when I'm looking for an intern, I also have to, limit. I'm talking about somebody who doesn't have any experience to a maximum experience of, let's say, 2 years. Yeah, so of course, I also have to put that. If I don't use that mechanism, it means I'm going to be going through more than, 20,000 people online. And that's not, of course, ideal, especially as a recruiter. I hope I've answered your question, Max.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Okay, awesome. Now let's talk about resume presentation. Of course, the first point of, interaction when it comes to candidates is their resume. And for me as a recruiter, I usually use around 30 seconds to just go through each resume, because ideally when it comes to the Kenyan market, when I just post a position, let's say on Friday, by Wednesday, I'm going to be going through around 500, resumes. And for me, like I have a limited time, I need to shortlist these people, I need to interview them. And of course, I need to hire somebody within a month, meaning I just need to go very fast on every resume. That's why I tell people, make sure your resume is maximum 2 pages, but ideally 1 page. no matter the length of experience. Just summarize it so that when I'm just looking at your CV, I already know this is, a software developer, this is an operations person, this is, of course, a creative or marketing director. Yeah, so that's why we always tell people, make sure it's just one page. And these are the things that you need to include. Of course, make sure that you have the contact information, your email and phone number in case I need to reach out to you. Of course, I need your email or phone number. Also, make sure the work experience is starting from the latest, not the, the first experience that you had. Start with the latest experience. Of course, going to, the previous experiences. Also, make sure you have qualifications under your resume, that is education and courses that you've done, and a bit of achievements. You don't need to put everything. Of course, there are some people who are super achievers, so you just don't need to put everything. Just make sure you have like 3 achievements. Make sure you also have skills. We're talking about, data analysis skills, customer service, interior design skills, such stuff. And under that, also make sure you input tools and softwares. This because some jobs, we are looking for somebody less who's very good in Python or Salesforce. So it's nice to see that in a CV. Okay, now, of course, we already mentioned the things that we must include: the name, the email, the phone number, LinkedIn profile link. That's optional, but at this point, I just want to encourage all of you to make sure that your LinkedIn is up to date. And of course, it looks ideal, because at this point, we are kind of changing the way we recruit in this new era, and we are mostly using LinkedIn to just, shortlist people, get the people that we want. So make sure your LinkedIn is ideal. And of course, you can put a personal statement. I'm going to show you how to do that in the next slides. Work experience, education skills, yeah, we have already talked about it. Yeah, these are some of the examples of resumes that look good. You can see like everything is in one page. So this is how you can make your resume be one page. You just put your work experience in one side, education, skills, languages, all that. Yeah, so technically those are good resumes. So what you should never include in a CV, never include your exact physical address. You can technically say you live in Nairobi, but don't put, I live in, let's say, Jacaranda Gardens, apartment 15, Nairobi, Kenya. Never do that, because let's say you put this information and in your CV, and then the CV is, landing in the wrong hands. That means somebody already knows everything about you. Also, don't include the exact date of birth, but please make sure you input the year of birth only. Yeah, don't use your work email address or, business emails. Just use your personal email, and don't include irrelevant social medias. That is, your Twitter. We can sometimes, as a recruiter, you can be curious, and then you go there and you just see a mess of retweets. So of course, we don't want to see that. Yeah. Also, don't include short-term employment unless you have less than 2 years experience. Yes, and of course, never include irrelevant experiences. Let's say there was this time you were jobless, and let's say you worked as, maybe a shop manager, but you are focusing on accounting or finance. You don't need to include that, because when you're applying for a job, make sure that the recruiter is just seeing the relevant experiences only. Yeah, and the rest, of course, make sure you use the present tense. I mean, for a past job, use a past tense, and for a present job, use a present tense. Yeah, and don't explain why you left jobs. We really don't want to know that unless we ask you in an interview. Don't put tables, images, or charts unless, of course, you are in the creative space. So because when it comes to CVs, they are usually different. And I'm seeing that people in the creative space, or, somebody is a graphic designer, or, somebody is a model, their CVs are a bit different because you want to, showcase your portfolio or something like that. But for these other professions, you don't need to include that. Okay, moving on. of course, also don't include the salary requirements. I've already talked about reason for leaving your past job, why you need a job, or what you want out of this job. That is too entitled. Yeah, so this is what you include in your personal statement. It should be very short. It should be like, 3 sentences, just 1 paragraph. Just include who you are. You can say, you have 2 years. Hello, is somebody asking a question? Okay, yeah, so in your personal statement, just include who you are. So an example is, I am a software developer with 5 years experience, and I'm highly skilled in Python, SQL, and one of my major achievements is that managing to come up with program in a certain department, blah blah blah, and you can say highly interested in working in a startup. Yeah, and I think that is just the summary of it. You don't need to make it very, very long. Just make it very simple. 3 sentences, 4 sentences, 1 paragraph. And when it comes to references, don't include any, please, because of course that is, I'm seeing so many CVs, they usually have like the name of the person, the phone number, their emails, and probably these people don't know even they're, there. And one thing about our references, before we reach out to your referees, we usually have to call you to let you know that we want to do a background check on you, and we ask you to send them like a list to us so that we can do. That is actually just like a requirement by the law. Yeah, so you don't need to include them, or you can just put references available upon request. Yeah, so another example of CVs. This first CV is too wordy, and this one is, of course, very presentable. This look good. Yeah, so moving on, maybe we can just try to have a conversation around, where do you guys have jobs online from? Do you use job websites? Do you go on company websites? Maybe somebody can tell me about the experience in searching for jobs.
Yeah, Bridgid, that was a quite intensive review of the CV and how it's supposed to flow. So you're free, participants, you can ask your questions now, and also share with us where you search for your jobs so that Bridgid can also interact with you. I can see one has said on LinkedIn. Yeah, the polls are coming in for you.
Okay, yeah, awesome. So LinkedIn, websites, nice. Okay, sorry about that, just a minute. Okay, so of course, when it comes to job searching, I'm sure every person has gone through, the entire process of going online, looking for jobs, applying for jobs, getting rejections, and of course, just even questioning what's happening in your life. But now let's talk about, the job searching strategies. Number 1, make sure that you focus your search on roles that fit you, number 1, roles that you are excited about, and companies that you are interested in working for, to just avoid disappointments. Because for sure, when I started my job search, I remember applying for every position, like I didn't have any experience, but I used to apply for, manager positions, director positions. And I was always like, why are these people not getting back to me? But that's because I was just applying for everything, and it was, not making any sense. So I used to just, every week, I'll just get a rejection every single week, till one day, I decided I'm just gonna, analyze my skills, analyze my profile, and then try to see what fits. So that's where you just need to look at roles that fit you. Let's say you are experienced in, marketing department, and you are applying for, finance positions or accounting positions just because you want to move there, that is not ideal. For you to transition from that, you have to find a way. And I usually tell people, in case you're not happy with your career and you want to transition to a new career, make sure that you just don't apply for a job in the new career that you want to go to. You have to talk to somebody, let's say somebody from a different department, that is a department that you want to join. It can be via LinkedIn or somebody you personally know, and then just ask them for an opportunity for you to move there. And then from there, of course, that will be like your first job in your new career. And then it will be easier for you to now go higher and higher as you apply for other jobs in the same industry. So apart from that, also make sure that you have your LinkedIn is up to date and you check company websites. That usually helps you to come up with the ways to, like you kind of see a trend when it comes to certain industries. Let's say when it comes to tech industry, they usually have certain keywords. They need people who are excited about technology, people who are innovative, people who have, really good ideas. And yeah, that's why you need to just go through their websites, analyze their requirements, and then go to your LinkedIn, make sure you have the keywords. Also go to your resume and make sure you highlight the keywords in such a scenario. Also, for every position, always customize your application. Don't use the same resume to apply for all the jobs. Always make sure that you're applying for a job and then highlight qualifications or experiences that are for that specific position. While searching for a job, it's ideal for you to be learning a new skill so that you can add that skill under your resume, and it also help you in, networking with people who are doing the same, professional course or who are learning the same new skill. In that way, you'll just learn about an opportunity through those people. It's the same thing as networking, actually. Of course, also participating in job fairs. This is ideal because, employers usually organize this because they need people. And for us, we usually do that when we need, probably interns. And that's, of course, we need to talk to people. We just go to universities. We talk to people. We tell them, what we do as a company. And then from there, you can even just get like 3 very good candidates from that, job fair. And one thing or one hack that you can use when it comes to job fairs, make sure that you know which companies will be attending, do research, and identify the ones that you will be interested with. And then from there, of course, you can even just talk to them, because as we are doing the job fairs, we're actually even just doing interviewing, some kind of background interviewing and seeing, who is good, who's going to be a good candidate for our company. Yeah, I've already mentioned visiting company websites to just see, openings and what they require. And also look offline. That is, of course, in your local setting. I'm sure there are so many small businesses, small companies. Always, just know somebody from there, ask them whether they're hiring, because most of these companies don't use websites. They just, tell somebody, we're looking for a marketing, executive. And then probably somebody is gonna be telling their family or their friends about it. Because, of course, when it comes to advertising, that is a different cost. Yeah, now let's move on to interview preparation. When you're preparing for an interview, of course, it's very ideal for you to be, number one, excited about the position, and also research about the company, the values, the culture, the work environment, everything that you need to know about the company. Just make sure you know everything. And then understand your job, the job requirements, and of course, responsibilities. Confirm the time and venue. Nowadays, most interviews happen online, but of course, usually just confirm the time and venue and which channel. Some use Zoom, others use Google Meet. And at this point, there's some that require you to carry your CV or even like education qualifications. Yeah, always arrive there 30 minutes before time to just, get familiar with the environment and for you to just be relaxed a bit before the interview. Always be presentable and keep good posture while, you are having the interview. Yeah, so of course, let's now talk about interview insights. That is, the tell me about yourself question and questions to ask at the end. Maybe one of you can tell me, because I'm sure this is a very common question when it comes to interviews, like tell me about yourself. For me, for the longest time, I've never known how to answer this question. Maybe somebody can tell me how they answer such.
I think depending on the job, you could give maybe relevant qualities that you have for the job. Let's say, for example, a job that may require someone to work in teams. You could say, maybe for me, I could say, my name is Bridgid. I'm Masaa. I say some few things about maybe my strengths, and then I say that I work well with teams. Maybe I am self-driven. I like working with schedules and something like that, to just get the interviewer to see that maybe I'm serious about the job.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. And maybe another question will be, because after every interview, interviewers usually ask you whether you have any questions. So what do you usually ask?
Kezia, you had your hand up. You can take the time to unmute and respond to one of Bridget's questions.
I wanted to respond on the question, tell me about yourself. Generally, what I figured about that question is the interviewer does not know you. They are meeting you for the first time. So it's your chance to share, first of all, who you are and what you can do. Basically, who are you? Your name is, so my name is Kezia Nyaga. I'm a digital marketer. I've been in this field for the last 6 years. My prowess is in content creation, campaign management. So basically telling them who exactly we are, because sometimes we assume that now that we know ourselves, other people know us. So basically the interviewer just wants to know who are you and what can you do, basically that. So your strengths in whatever they're asking for. When it comes to that question of, do you have any questions for us? I would suggest someone else to answer it, but most times I go for how is it working in this environment? What exactly is your main challenge right now in this business or in that sector, in that field they're looking for, in that position they're looking to fill? So that's what I ask, but I'm not very sure about that second question. Thank you.
Yeah, actually both answers are correct. And let's now talk about, the tell me about yourself question. This is why it's your chance to shine. This is where you just need to highlight your strengths, talk about interesting things about yourself, but make it short. So some of the things that you need to highlight are, of course, the skills, qualifications, experience, significant achievements. Already mentioned that, just keep them at 2 or 3 most, and the type of person you are. So when it comes to the type of person you are, make sure you include something about your personal life. Let's say you love traveling, or you love cooking, or you're very extroverted, you love outdoors, such stuff. But there's a lot of freedom when it comes to this tell me about yourself question, but there's some things that you need to avoid, such as going very personal about yourself. Let's say just avoid very personal stuff when it comes to this question. And now questions to ask at the end of the interview. I usually encourage people to ask me questions at every interview. I usually just give them 10 to 15 minutes. They need to ask anything. And one of the questions, or one of the many questions that I usually get are, what is the company culture like? What is the work environment, the company structure? Who will I be reporting to? What will I be expected? What will be expected of me within 100 days or 3 months? Technically, they're asking about key performance indicators. They also ask how many people work in the company. It's good to know how big the organization is. You also try to ask why this company is special. That is a very challenging question, to be honest, because you have to prove to this person that you're interviewing why your company is the best. And I love that question because it shows that this person wants to know why can't they join the competitors? Why you? Yeah, and of course you need to ask when the role is going to be filled and the next steps in the hiring process. And when you get feedback, it's important to ask for feedback, because most companies will just interview you and probably you'll never hear from them ever again. That's not a good practice. Yeah, and moving on, now let's talk about the offer. When you are negotiating an offer, it's important to know, the market-related salary trends. And maybe I need to mention, when you're applying for a job, no matter how desperate you are, when it comes to salary negotiation, always negotiate, but don't be so, I don't think it's ideal for you to give like a very big, counter offer from the one that the company is offering you, but always just, ask them whether there's room for negotiating. If they say yes, of course, this is how now you come up with your counter offer. Yeah, so now, yeah, of course, be familiar with the salary trends, build your case. Building your case is, coming up with, instead of just saying, I just need more money, you need to tell them why you need more money. And don't come up with things like, you need more money because of your family situation or whatever. Use things like, you kind of sell yourself. You say like, the value that you're bringing this company because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skills, and just because you add like a team management experience, and probably you're moving to a position that doesn't allow that or something, or from your previous job you are, getting bonuses, but in this new offer you're not getting bonuses. Just build your case, but don't use personal clauses when it comes to that. And always never lie about your current salary, because there's always a way hiring managers find out whether you're lying or not. And factor in perks and benefits. So let's say you're moving to this new position and they're offering maybe the same amount of salary that you're earning, but you expected something more, but they have like, very nice benefits such as medical insurance, stock options, flexibility. I'm actually just mentioning the benefits that we offer at both. And of course, flexibility, meaning it's not a typical 9 to 5 job. It's up to you to decide when to work. And I remember Aseli talked about, being negotiating on time. So that is a very good point when it comes to perks. We are also talking about other smaller things like, a company paying for your gym, paying for you to access wellness programs, or even, travel here and there. And there are so many things that you can factor in. And when, let's say, you've managed to, come up with a way, or like agreed that, you're going to get some benefits that are not in the offer, make sure that it's all written down. In case, at the end of the month, you're just not getting what you had agreed, you can, argue with something that is written down or with proof. Yeah, and then if there's a point where you're trying to negotiate, but you're seeing that, probably there's no way you're gonna agree, don't be rude about it. You can always just turn down the offer or, accept it depending on, the situation you're in. Yeah, now moving, I think, again, of course, how to evaluate a job offer. I've already talked about benefits, just looking at the whole package, not just the salary, looking at, the benefits, even looking at bonuses and commissions, yeah, such stuff. And then from there, now you are starting a new job. It's your first day. I remember my first day at my very first job. I was so nervous. I had no experience in, working in a corporate environment. They already had rules before I joined about the dress code, about, what you need to do, what you don't need to do. So I was very nervous, and I just feared doing anything because I just didn't want to mess it up. And as time went by, now the first days kind of became better. And it was so different when now I started my work at both. My first day was so different. I remember coming very early and I was the only person in the office because apparently people don't even come to the office, they work from home. And people come anytime they feel like. So the whole day I was just so confused. I didn't know. I was very official and I was seeing people coming up, in with jeans. Another person was, just some developer was just in like pajamas or something. It was like a very weird experience, but it actually just, makes you understand different companies and how they expect you to be. And the first impression actually matters a lot. So no matter which company you're going to, just make sure that you look presentable. No matter how casual they're telling you to look, please just look presentable. As time goes by, you can, come in with pajamas when, of course, you've been confirmed or what's really going on in that company. Also maintain a positive mindset. Be very social, talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask people, what do you do? And when you're learning something, also ask questions. This is the point that you are allowed to, ask questions. You're allowed to mess up. You're allowed to, it's like a grace period to do whatever, but also, be very courteous and, mindful. Before you even just show up for the new job, make sure you go through the responsibilities once more and the company and, the playbook. Most companies usually have a, employee playbook. Make sure you go through that. And now let's talk about growing in your career. For this part, I have a video for you guys to watch. It's 8 minutes. So let's jump to it.
As someone who's been working in the job sector and as a career coach for almost 10 years, I've worked with close to 1,000 professionals. Out of those people, there are those that stood out. Something that would take an average professional 30 years and a professional lifetime, they'd managed to do it in 10 to 15. For me, particularly during my early days in the recruitment industry, I always found this fascinating. What was it about them that allowed them to progress so rapidly? What things were consistent across all these individuals? And could it be replicated by others? The conclusion that I came to was yes. But before I share my key strategies to fast track and accelerate your career, it's important to ask yourself one big question. Are you willing and motivated enough to watch the entire video? Whether you think the strategies are any good or not is not the issue. The issue is, do you have the desire to be a high achiever and go on to great things? Or are you happily satisfied with where you are? Because ultimately, these strategies will only work if you have the aspiration and the ambition to be successful. And by committing to watching the whole video from beginning to end is a sign that you're willing to learn and improve yourself to achieve that success. And ultimately, having the potential knock-on effect of having more money, greater status, and a more exciting and satisfying career. So let's get started. Set yourself a goal. What position do you want to be in 10 years' time? But this can vary depending on where you are currently within your career. Write it down and put the date next to it. Now you're going to list all the positions and job roles that are going to be required on your career journey to reaching that ultimate goal. So now, in essence, what you've done is created your very own career timeline. You now have a target and something tangible to work towards. And secondly, created your very own career plan. You know the final destination and you have an idea of the route that you're going to take to get there. Stick a copy of your plan somewhere visible and present so you don't lose sight of your goal and the bigger picture. So now that you have your career plan and roadmap, it's time to think about how you're going to achieve it. Now, when you're in a job, you're usually left with 3 career-defining actions. Do you move to a similar role in a different company? Stay in the job because of a promotion? Or do you move to a more senior position with a different company? I refer to these 3 actions as the hop, skip, and jump. So to progress your career, you should be looking to either hop, skip, or jump every 1.5 to 2 years. That's if you're working in Western markets. However, if you're working on the Eastern side, such as in Japan, South Korea, and China, the target should be around the 3-year mark. And planning for your move should really begin at least 3 to 4 months in advance. It's important to also keep in mind, inaction can lead to career stagnation. So never get too comfy. Don't get stuck in your comfort zone. Leave that for home. because you've got a far bigger vision for yourself. Out of the 3 actions, the jump is by far the most important in progressing your career, and this naturally makes it the hardest. Most people usually prefer to hop, but when you do this, you have to do it with a strategic goal in mind. And the skip is usually a mixture of luck and circumstances. Someone leaves, and you're in prime position to take the more senior role. So the first question is, when is the right time to skip? Well, if you know there are genuine opportunities within the company to move up, then it's well worth staying because you could see your career progress without having to go through the effort of changing jobs. However, here you have to be honest with yourself because companies will always make promises of progression. You have to work out whether this is a reality or not. If you're coming up to the 2-year mark and you know that realistically nothing's going to arise anytime soon, it's time to either hop or jump. Now you only hop if you're unable to jump. Reasons for being unable to jump and how to solve them is something we're going to come to later. But with the hop being a sideways move, you have to be thinking how this move is going to help you in making that jump. So you have to think strategically. Here I've listed the following things you should think about. What experiences and skills am I going to gain which are going to help me in making the jump? Are they paying for any recognized qualifications, which will increase my credentials within my industry? Will the combination of my current skills and new skills make me a more marketable candidate? Will this company's reputation improve my own reputation and credibility within my industry? Hopping sideways purely for monetary reasons, just for a few $1,000s or pounds, might give you some short-term gains, but in the long run, you could be sacrificing the bigger picture. So it's important to ensure that your experiences from your hop will actually help you in making the jump to the next level in achieving that long-term career goal. And finally, we come on to the jump. Firstly, you need to understand what things could be preventing you from making the jump. Here I've categorized them into 2 factors, external and internal. External are essentially factors which are out of your control. For example, there aren't any positions available in the sector that you work in for you to make the jump. Internal factors are those which you have more control over, and I'm going to focus on the 2 most important. So the first internal factor, which is really going to be preventing you from moving up to the next level, is your CV and resume, and the fact that it's not getting you enough interviews at a higher level, and you're struggling to get your foot in the door. And the second are your interview skills, the fact that they're not good enough to convince the interview panel to give you the job for the more senior position. So for example, the one interview that you do get for the senior position, they come back to you and say you're a great candidate, but feel that you don't have enough experience. These 2 are by far the biggest internal factors preventing you from progressing. It's a bit like when you're suffering from tiredness and fatigue. You can take as many vitamin tablets or shots of espresso as you like, but the solution is as simple as sleeping on time and getting your daily 7 to 8 hours sleep. We're now going to look at ways you can effectively improve your CV or resume and interview skills by making some smart investments. So with regards to your CV and resume, it needs to make an impact and really market your skills at their most optimal. See it as your very own professional marketing brochure. I would suggest that you look into having it professionally written. Most writing companies will give you an initial free assessment, so it's well worth having a chat with them. Alternatively, another option is to get hold of my 30-page CV and resume writing ebook, which you can download for free at JobInterview.
Okay, yeah, that's about it. When you want to grow in your career, of course, the first thing that you need to do is, you need to set a goal for yourself. That is, when you're starting your first job, you need to know whether you want to be in that company for, let's say 5 years or, 2 years and then move on to something better. And whether you're going to stay in that department or probably want to go to another department, and you just have to work towards all this. So that's technically it. Now let's move on to sorry about that, just a minute. So let's move on to now resigning from the job. Let's say you've gotten a better opportunity and you need to resign, and probably because of personal reasons. It can be because of personal reasons you're not happy at that company, or because you are going to a better company, or because you're going back to school. Maybe some of you can share some of the reasons why they resign from jobs. Okay. Yeah, now let's move on to the next point. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have some comments in the chat box. Some are going to study for the bar exam, better remuneration package in another company. Yeah.
Sorry. I think I'm experiencing some technical issue at the moment. I didn't get you, Linda. You were saying something. Now I can hear you.
Okay. People have responded in the chat box, and some are mentioning some companies have too much pressure. We have to prepare for exams at some point, and just a better remuneration package.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah. So when you're resigning from a company, of course, make sure that you do that in a graceful way. You might never know, you might need a job in this company. So watch some of the things that you need to do. Number one, write your letter before you resign. Make sure you just prepare the letter, first of all. And before you send it out, meet either with your manager or HR and talk to them, tell them that you want to resign. And you don't need to give a very specific reason because sometimes they can come up with solutions for such issues. Let's say you tell them you're not happy because they're not paying you enough. And of course, one of the things that they will try to do is probably, tell you that they can offer you more money. And that shows that you can actually stay, or it's more like applying pressure indirectly to just make you stay. And no employer wants to lose, an employee, because they take a lot of time in training this person, making them understand their businesses. So by the time this person is leaving, it's, a major loss. And another thing, if somebody is pressuring you to give a reason why you're leaving, you can, just be very general. You can say you're just moving on to a better opportunity. At this point, make sure you don't mention the company that you're moving to, unless, you've already signed the offer or you're sure that nothing is gonna go wrong. Because some things I've seen so many things go wrong in such a situation. Let's say this employer knows somebody in that company, and of course they have a chat, and you don't get the opportunity anymore. So make sure you just don't mention the company. They'll just know later when you join, when you officially start, they will know which company. You can update your LinkedIn, or you can tell them later on. And another thing, let's say you have a personal reasons, let's say you're not happy in that company, you don't need to mention that. You just have to be very general, because of course you don't want to leave with a bad taste. It's nice because in some companies, they usually have this exit survey where they try to make sure that you give feedback, honest feedback about them. That will depend on the situation, but I just prefer for you not to be very personal. And yeah, that's about it. Now let's, I'm checking out the questions. Somebody was asking, how do you know where these job fairs take place? This is a very good question. And one of there are so many organizations, or even like companies usually have these updates on their websites. Others push them via social media. And of course, sometimes organizations such as Lapid, Lead Africa can have such information. So it's not like you'll find this information in one place. I hope I've answered you, Hope. Yeah, and there was another question, I guess. What will a successful candidate bring in terms of value? So when we are looking at the final candidate, there are some things that we look out for. Number one, as an employer, you want somebody who won't take a lot of time learning your business. You need somebody who's, of course, very fast in, learning a new skill, or basically a fast learner. We're also looking for somebody who has a very good mindset, somebody who's ready to just, take the challenge and, come up with even just ideas on how to solve some of the issues that we have in the company. So that is the value we are talking about. If you're very good in, solving problems, you're good in coming up with new ideas, and of course, you're a fast learner, that is ideal. That is like the ideal candidate that we look out for. And when it comes to my company, experience is not like a major issue. What we try to look out for is the mindset, because we are a startup. And when it comes to most startups, it's like a very high-paced environment. Like things sometimes can be all over the place. It's not like, let's say when you compare to a company like Microsoft or, UN, they usually have like structures because they've been in the industry for more than, let's say, 20 years. So they know how things work. They have systems. They have like everything is just, in order. But when it comes to startups, we are still trying to build some things. And that's why we need somebody who's, very fast, somebody who can even just help us with coming up with new ideas on how to do some things. So that is the candidate that we look out for. Yeah. And another question. When do you submit the detailed CV, and when are one pages more applicable? That was a question from Sharon. Okay, so when it comes to detailed CV, I said like the maximum should be 2 pages, no matter the number of years of experience, because any recruiter is not ready to go through 15 pages of trying to see, what you've been doing for, 10 years. It's not ideal. So even if you've worked for, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, just summarize. There's some experiences which are not very, relevant, so you don't need to include them. Yeah, but make sure, of course, they're included probably in LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, you don't need to put any information. You can just put the title and the year, and that's it. Yeah, and then another question. I think that's it. Any other person who has a question, or maybe something I've forgotten to answer?
I have a question. My question is, how do you know what CV style to use? Because I understand, except there might be a preferred CV style for European countries, for Africa. How do you know an appropriate CV style to use when applying maybe for jobs in Africa or just globally?
So when it comes to CVs, I don't think like there's an ideal CV system, but it will depend on the position. There are some roles which require the CV to be a little bit technical, but they will also tell you that maybe when they are advertising the job. And I think at this point, I will say it's all up to you. What do you want the recruiter to see? What do you want the hiring manager to see? So it's up to you to evaluate your skill set and see how to put it down, on the resume. But there's no, I can't say there's one specific way that you can, like a specific type of CV to use. I hope I've answered the question. Any other question?
I have a question. Let's say, there is the occasions when you're applying for a job, and LinkedIn is able to tell you the number of people who have applied for that position. Maybe instances where there are like 200, over 200 people have applied for a certain position. Am I okay to assume that recruiters have an automated system that sort of makes the work easier for them by maybe through AI sort of just looking for the keywords that they want in that CV and, separating others from what they need? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just give you an insight of what usually happens when somebody applies from LinkedIn. We usually have like a system, an in-house system where we see, applications from different venues. So let's say you just applied from LinkedIn, we're gonna get your application, of course. And when I'm going through applications, like I usually, let's say I have 1,000 applications and I need to fill this position as soon as, 3 days. It doesn't mean that I'll just go through all this. So we have like a place where you can filter the CVs using keywords, using the number of years of experience and such stuff. So that is like, there's a way you can actually filter these people, even if they have just applied from, LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other question? Yeah, I think there was another question. Like, is it a recommendation? No, I think the first question should be from Sharon Christine asking. So on the sample 1-page CVs, you included personal picture. Is this advisable? No. This is because, of course, recruiters are people. They can be biased. So it's not ideal for you to put a picture unless, in the job description, they ask you to. There was this position that I was working on when I was, on my first job. And the hiring manager was looking for a lady, and they had like very specific, physical attributes. And that's where we had to ask people to, attach their pictures on the CV. And this is because it was a job for like modeling or something. It was a very weird job, to be quite honest. But when it comes to this other corporate world, please don't put your picture unless, of course, you've been asked to. Yeah, and then there was another question from Jerry. Is a recommendation letter to be delivered if one did not do a resignation letter? So I think I'm having a bit of trouble understanding this question. Maybe Jerry, can you maybe rephrase?
I have a question.
Yes.
How does one transit from jobs? For example, where I'm working right now, I'm working because it pays my bill. But then I want to transit to what I did in the university. But I don't have any experience. All I have are papers. Yeah. So how do I, like, no experience, but I have the papers. How do I apply? How do I write my CV to express my interest and that I can really work given an opportunity in that field?
Okay, for such a situation, one of the things, or one of the hacks I've seen people use and they actually work, is reaching out to the recruiter, probably in the company that you've identified that you want to work for, in that department that you want to work for. Be very honest. Say, of course, you want to work, let's say, in this marketing department, but you've been in finance, and it's you don't have any experience in that. Most likely these people, of course, will tell you the opportunities that they have when it comes to entry level kind of opportunities. So you have to be willing to start from the bottom as you go up. Yeah, so yeah, the ideal way is reach out to the people who are hiring, and of course via LinkedIn is the ideal place, and then tell them what you want. Because let's say you just apply for a job and they're looking for somebody who's had experience in such a field, probably your CV is not going to stand out. So always network. Number one, make sure you network. Just go to these job fairs, go to these networking events, meet with people, and talk to them. Tell them you're interested in this area or industry. they will probably just tell you the openings that are available, and that's where you can even just get somebody who's just looking for somebody to work in that department, and maybe they will just offer you probably an internship or even like a mentorship program or something like that. But it's better than starting from nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now just going back to the question from Jerry, probably she meant, when somebody is leaving a company, let's say you just left a company because you just got tired. Of course, it usually happens. I remember there was a time I really wanted to leave, just wake up and you feel like, today I don't want to go to work because I'm just tired of this job. And you just want to, just leave and never go back. Yeah, so of course, there are some situations like that where you just leave companies without resigning. And of course, the question is whether you need a recommendation letter. We really don't care as much. It will depend on the position, but mostly we really don't ask much about, where you left the previous company or, whether you have a recommendation letter from that company. It's not necessary. As long as we are seeing potential in you, we're gonna hire you. And yeah, the rest of the things, of course, we'll just find out later because we usually have the process of background checking. And that's why in my presentation, I included resigning. Make sure you resign sub-period. There's some companies where the notice period is 2 weeks, others 1 month, others 3 months. Make sure you just, of course, live in good terms, because when you are applying for a new job and we're doing a background check on you and you find out that, this person just left, it means you can do the same to our company. Yeah, I think that's it. Any other person who has a question or, any person who's curious about anything, you're free to ask.
Hi.
Hi.
It's good to see you, Bridgid. We went to high school together. It's good to see what you're doing. I wanted to ask, I recently left a job because it was just idle. There wasn't many projects coming in. I'm an interior designer. And I wanted to find out, how do we, especially as new employees, how do you measure what you're bringing into the company? I think for me, there's a lot of insecurities when you move to a job and it's a whole different set of responsibilities. How do you make sure that you're bringing in value to the company? How do you measure yourself in short?
Okay, the first thing, always have this mentality that you're bringing value to a company, no matter how you feel. Just pump it into your head that you are a worthy person, valuable person, and work on your skills, because I'm sure as we are growing, as you go to university, you're always, of course, learning something new. You can always sign up on new skills online and stuff. But when you are, entering this different market and you want to measure yourself whether you are adding any value, you need to look at what these people are looking for. Maybe they are just looking for somebody who's a very, who is very, let's say, very good in marketing. And let's say you've never done marketing before, but we can see that talent, especially when it comes to interviews. For me, I can actually identify a very good, marketer, even if they've been in finance for the longest time. So it's not all about, questioning your value or, asking what you bring to the table, but just trying to understand what these people are looking for and understanding your talents, even if they're not related to your experience. And of course, just presenting yourself, especially when it comes to the interview stage. Of course, that's where you're going to try to figure out whether you'll be valuable for this company. So this is where you sell yourself. Don't lie, but sell yourself. Highlight your strengths, like 120%, Yeah, but of course, don't be very overconfident at the same time when you're doing the interviews.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bridget. This was quite the HR journey we have gone through here. And at least now when we're applying for jobs, we know exactly what to do so that we can save on the time and maximize on the resources that we do have and apply for these jobs with the confidence that they deserve. Thank you so much for being here as our speaker and sharing your experience as a recruiter.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It was really nice being part of this community. And of course, in case any of you wants to connect, I'm active on LinkedIn. Of course, Bridgid Atunga, you can always just reach out to me. And yeah, let's have a chat.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Jakes. I think my part of the webinar is now done. I just want to hand it over back to Jakes.
Thank you, Linda, for taking us through that session of the keynote. We appreciate. Many thanks to to Bridgid as well for taking us through the session. It was quite informative on my end as well. And maybe at this chance, I would want to give just one person who has like not a question, but maybe something that they have picked up and they want to maybe share with us a takeout, and then we will bring this session to a close. So maybe not a question, but just some remarks in terms of what you've learned and what you're picking from this session before we close.
Hello, everyone. The session was, I think, almost everything she has talked about are things I really was not aware of. Like, I didn't know that in my CV, I'm not supposed to include the exact address and place where I live and yeah, some other things. I think she has really simplified the process of job searching and just preparing for the job, such that if someone asks you to send a CV for a job you're preparing for, it's not going to be hectic for you because you just need to customize your CV to fit the job. So thank you so much for that. And I must also acknowledge that we are namesakes. So yeah, you see, Bridget's do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Bridget. This point, I will welcome Lenny to share some remarks, and then we will bring it to the notes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jex. And thank you, Linda, for organizing this. And thank you to you, Bridget. Thank you for the information. It was quite helpful. Even for myself, I am amazed that every day is a learning day. There are a few things that I've been able to pick because of your presentation. And thank you also for reminding us that we need to stand out even as we look for work. And it takes time to prepare for that so that we're able to stand out among the many people who are looking for the same opportunities that we are also seeking. So as we come to an end, I wanted to mention that, and Jex had mentioned this, that we are in the process of recruiting for a new cohort, and this is a Lead Self cohort. Lead Self is about self-awareness. We take you through an opportunity to discover who you are and to start thinking about your brand. And in such a way that you are able to stand out as even you look for work. And if you're already working, being able to thrive at your workplace. So basically that's what we, in the process of doing, recruiting a new cohort. And we wanted to invite you to be part of that cohort. So if you're a person, you feel you have a dream, you want to know how to harness that, this would be a good opportunity to start that conversation. Or you want to make impact and you're not sure which career or where to work, we'll have those conversations around those things. And of course, you'll be joining a community of like-minded people who are interested in growing themselves as leaders and making a difference within their community and within Africa and the world. So we want to invite you to consider registering or joining this program. Jex can put on the chat box the link where you can apply. The cohort starts in 3rd of September, so we have a few days towards that. But as part of the process, we, as you apply, we also want to invite you for an information session on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So if you're interested in coming for that, please put your details on the chat box, then we can get back to you. And the essence of the info session is to go a bit deeper into the program and why we feel and believe that this will be a good opportunity for you. So make a date and join us on Wednesday at 6:30 when we go deeper into what the program entails and how you can be able to plug in. The other thing is, if you're also interested to know a bit more about us, you can also check our website, leaders.africa, and you can get to see a bit more information about the program and what we do, and how we can be able to work with you and partner with you as you progress in your career and in your leadership. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Bridgid. Once again, thank you for the information you've given us, and also for Linda organizing this. And thank you for each of us who was able to attend. And as we come to an end, unless there's a general question, I'll hand this back to Jex to wrap it up.
Okay, any question? Seems like there is no other question. Mine is to really thank you, each and every one of you, for being part of us in the session. It's been one lengthy, insightful one, and we thank you for your patience. At this point, we'll bring it to a close, and I wish you a very good afternoon and a fruitful and productive week ahead. Before we leave, I will request Grace Joanne to pray for us, and we'll be closing.
All right, let's believe and pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for being with us throughout this meeting. Thank you for making it possible for us to be here in this meeting. Thank you for the organizers of this meeting, for the speakers in this meeting, and for everyone who was able to participate in this meeting, Jehovah God. It's not by coincidence. So we want just to align with your will, Jehovah God. Thank you once again for availing everything, every resource that was required for this meeting. We pray that every word, everything that has been said in this meeting will be impactful in our lives and will set us for the places you are taking us to. We also want to commit the rest of the day to your able hands. May you continue to guide us, and also the rest of the week. May you continue to align us to your will and to your purpose. And we pray that, believing and trusting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Amen.
Program. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. It's been a pleasure having you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.